My name is Ken Johnson. I guess you'd call me the producer here at 7 Days. I was just checking out our test stream over here, and everything is looking great for going live in 7 days. We've made a lot of progress on our webcast in the last 2 months, and we're pretty jazzed about what we're going to be able to present to you. Our first event, strangely enough, is titled The First 7 Days. We want to take you back 70 years to the Ardennes and the Battle of the Bulge and experience those first 7 days. When people hear the phrase, the Battle of the Bulge, they almost immediately think of Bastogne, the 101st Airborne Division, and Patton's Third Army. All of that's true. But before Bastogne, there was a 7-day fight along the German border for a small town called St. Vith. In those first few days, 3 infantry divisions, maybe 60,000 men, faced the initial German onslaught of over 400,000 men. They were outmanned, outgunned, and taken by total surprise. And yet, they stubbornly held on while awaiting the arrival of the 7th and 9th Armored Divisions. Not that much different than Patton sending the 4th and the 10th Armored Divisions to Bastogne. The fighting there cost thousands of American lives and resulted in tens of thousands of Americans being taken POW. One of those men was my uncle. He was killed on the first night of the Battle of the Bulge, so this story is kind of important to me. It's an amazing story because the men who fought in those first few days delayed the German advance to the point where it scuttled Hitler's plan to take Antwerp. Our host for the event is the Honorable Martin King, and he's going to be joined by 2 guests who were there. They're 90 years old right now, and they had a good time putting this together with us. We're also going to be joined by Jason Knowlton, who's about to finish his 20 with the United States Air Force. All these guys know their history. They know this story, and they know how to tell it, so we're not going to bore you. And you're almost certainly going to learn far more than you anticipated when you tune in. Martin King, our host, has appeared on numerous History Channel television pieces and is the author of The Voices of the Bulge, The Tigers of Bastogne, and the recently released the Fighting 30th. They called them Roosevelt's SS. He knows his stuff, and he's really good on camera. He hammed it up a little bit for us. We're lucky to have him involved, and he's pretty fired up about doing this. I should tell you a few things about webcasting and how they drove our production here. What's great about webcasting is that we don't have to live by the same constraints as a broadcast network, meaning advertising and time slots and time constraints and so forth. So we can give it to you pretty raw, and we're pretty sure that if you're going to watch this piece, you're interested in the story, and we're going to give it to you. So we felt it was our responsibility to deliver something unique with some depth, a little bit of humor, and a mix of story elements. The guys who reviewed this so far think it's pretty darn good. One thing we decided to do was pre-record the webcast. We ran a lot of tests early on with a live feed out of Belgium to the studio here in Los Angeles, and began to get a little concerned about having flubs and dropouts and network problems. And we didn't want to disappoint you. Even big companies like Apple have their challenges with doing completely live webcasting. So the story materials were pre-recorded, but we're all going to be on live and following the webcast. We're going, and maybe even during the middle of it, we're going to pop in and we're going to do some live Skype discussions with you, the viewers who can call in and talk to them. After we looked at a variety of streaming services, we decided to go with livestream.com. Remember that, livestream.com. You can get their app for your iPad, your Android tablet, your Windows tablet, your phone. I've been watching the test stream, which is right there. There's Martin. On my phone, and it works really good. You can also stream it into your HD TV, if you've got Apple TV, and the old defaults of a desktop and a laptop are also there straight off the web, off of Chrome or Internet Explorer or Safari. So wherever you are in the world, you're going to be able to see this, and we hope you enjoy it. I want to make one more point, which is you're going to be able to pause the webcast, rewind it, play it back, rejoin the live webcast, and then when we're all done here, what we're going to do is we're going to replay it several times over the next several days so you can tell your friends, tell their families, and come and join us. So one of the things I wanted to do was give you a little flavor for what we have coming, given that most of it's in the can, and we're pretty proud of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Martin in Belgium. Martin, you have the floor. Tell them what this is all about.
I'm here at an American cemetery just outside the small town of Henri-Chapelle in Belgium, not far from the German border. I've been here often with World War II veterans returning to pay their respects to their fallen comrades. Walking along the rows of gravestones allows one time to think and contemplate precisely what this place represents, what the men buried here represent. Those of us that put this webcast together spent quite a bit of time thinking about what we could and should do to honour the men who fought in the Ardennes. As a military historian, I've written extensively about American involvement in World War II, and I'm deeply honoured to be part of the team presenting this. On this occasion, we want to explain why this place is special to us. We've taken the time to understand what happened, who was where, and the story of what they did.
So I'm standing here at the cross of someone I know quite well. In fact, I almost know this man personally. I did a lot of research on his army career and specifically on what happened here during the Battle of the Bulge. On December the 16th, Eric Fisherwood is part of Battery A from the 106th Division. He takes command of the situation and extricates himself from an incredibly precarious situation. But more importantly, this man didn't get captured. And for almost a month, he becomes the Rambo of World War II. He's fighting a one-man guerrilla war against the Germans in the woods just to the east of Mayer Road. And we don't know the exact date that he died, but we suspect that it was probably sometime between January the 4th and January the 16th. Because around that time, just before that time, he was seen by a woman called Eva Marate. Well, it was actually her father, who was a wood chopper who worked in those forests, and he brought him home. And Eva Marate, she darned his socks for him. And they were the last people to see him alive. Now, his body was discovered eventually, and he's buried here at Henri-Chapelle. And I was honoured to be asked to inaugurate the library, the Eric Fisherwood Library at Valley Forge. So he's got a particular significance to me, and definitely to the men of the 106th Division. But this man was a hero.
The story of the 106th is tragic, but at the same time heroic, because despite being surrounded on the second day of the Bulge, they held on and gave the Allies time to react. In fact, 20 years after the war, the German 5th Army commander General Manteuffel, who'd had to deal with the 106th and 3 other frontline divisions, stated that those men cost the Germans the Battle of the Bulge. Now that sounds like a story worth telling. I want to head back to the studio and introduce you to 2 of my friends who were in the 589th. Mr. John Schaffner, historian for the 106th Infantry Division Association, and Mr. John Gatens, whom I first met a few years ago during a ceremony at the place where they made history. Hello, gentlemen. How are you today?
Hello, Martin. It's good to be here with you. You know, this 21st century communications is really a miracle. You in Belgium and me in the States.
Martin, I'm very happy that you remembered meeting me at Parker's Crossroads. I was very happy to meet you because the minute you opened your mouth, I knew exactly where you were from. And being from Scotland myself, I was very happy to meet a fellow Scotsman.
I'm sure that you have some questions for us, and we're going to try to put some answers together for you. As you know, we're 70 years since the big battle, and surviving all those years, we still have a lot of memories of what happened to us as boys. I say boys because we were 19, 20 years old at the time. So I suppose that you can get on with your questions, and by way of Skype and Logitech, we'll start giving you some answers.
So there you have it. We think this is something special, and it's going to be worth your time to join us. Whether your grandfather, your father, your great uncle or your uncle, your brother, your cousin, or you were there, we want you to be here with us at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, the 21st, Sunday, the 21st of December. Tell your friends, tell your family, and don't forget the first 7 days. We'll see you then.